If you're a college student, a business person, a full-time mom, or someone who's just looking to have delicious meals all week long for minimal effort, then I got you. Spring rolls are one of my all-time favorite foods, hands down. But the problem is they can be a pain to roll and they don't exactly keep well. So today, we're fixing that problem. Now we're gonna be doing two different proteins today, shrimp and a barbecue chicken. And truthfully, you can do one or the other, or you can also just do neither of them. I just wanna make sure that you have the options. But for our barbecue chicken, we're gonna start by building our marinade. 2 tablespoons of light soy sauce, 3 tablespoons of fish sauce, 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce, a little bit more than a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons of honey. I am out of honey. That's an unpleasant sound. 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Then we'll go ahead and roughly chop about a 1/4 cup of minced lemongrass. I'll be honest, I'm not totally sure how many layers of lemongrass you're supposed to remove before you actually start like chopping it up, but I always remove a couple. It may be too much. I may be wasting lemongrass, but this is just what I know. Please feel free to correct me. This is quite honestly the only time I've ever thought, man, you know what I really wish I had? One of those slap chop things, because it just goes everywhere. And that's good enough for me. Then we'll go ahead and do the same to about half a shallot. We're just gonna cut a little bit of a rainbow, trying to leave that root intact. Then we'll just rotate and slice as thin as we possibly can. Beautiful. And then last up for chopping, just a couple cloves of garlic, if I can get them out. I don't want that one, I want the bigger one. Okay, that's it. Okay, this is a mess for later. And we'll just run our knife through it, similar to what we did with the lemongrass. And then now we can just add in some fresh cracked black pepper. And if you're wondering why we didn't add any salt into this marinade, because between the oyster sauce, the fish sauce, and the soy sauce, there's a lot of salt. And the last thing we want to do is over salt, because we can always add more, but we can't take it away. And now we can go ahead and add in our chicken thighs, boneless, skinless, of course, but also you could do bone-in, skin on if you want, just more work. About a pound of these straight in, and we'll just make sure this is nicely mixed and everything is well coated. And then we'll just leave this on the side to marinate while we prep everything else. But also, if you have the time, feel free to marinate that in the fridge overnight. You'll get a better result, but this is still gonna be delicious, so don't worry if you don't have the time. And now we can go ahead and cut up our produce, starting with these bushes of lettuce, romaine to be specific. We're not gonna be fancy here. We're just gonna make sure we're cutting straight down, starting at the tip. We're looking for about 2 finger lengths or about 1 inch thick. Nothing too crazy here until we get to about the nubbin. And then at that point, I toss the nubbin. I know some people put them in water and regrow them. I do not do that. And we'll repeat. You see it? You see it? It did hit my refrigerator first, but it did go in. Now, real quick, before we continue, I'd like to take a moment to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Rocket Money. So recently, my wife and I have started saving to buy a house. And once we started doing that, we realized just how important it is to know exactly where your money's going. And that's where Rocket Money comes in. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you manage subscriptions, lower your bills, create custom budgets, and grow your savings all in one place. Truthfully, budgeting has never really been my strength, but Rocket Money makes it way easier. In just a few seconds, I can set up a personalized budget that shows exactly where my money is going, highlights my biggest spending categories, and it gives insights to help me stay on track month to month. And on top of all that, Rocket Money has this cool goals feature that helps you save towards things that actually matter. It analyzes your accounts to suggest an amount and timing that makes sense, so that way saving feels more manageable and consistent. All you need to do is choose your goal and how often you want to save. So if you want to feel more in control of your finances, go ahead and scan the QR code or click the link down in the description to get started today for free. And thank you again to Rocket Money for sponsoring today's video. And now, because none of it is really washed too thoroughly, I mean, it says washed on the bag, but I don't trust it, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this into a salad spinner, and we'll give it a nice rinse under cool water. How you guys doing? I hope that you're doing well. I hope you had a lovely Valentine's Day, whether it was with yourself, your friends, your partner, whatever it is. I hope you enjoyed it. You guys got any good plans this weekend? Anything coming up? Anything to celebrate? Let me know. We can all celebrate you together in the comments. And then we'll just let this go ahead and sit and really air off as much as possible. Now we've got some Persian cucumbers, which we're just gonna go ahead and cut into matchsticks by slicing off the tip there. Go ahead and cutting on a bias. And we can just form these into little stacks and cut them into nice little matchsticks. And we can just carefully move all those to a bowl and move on to our carrot, our enormously, uncomfortably long carrot. I'm just gonna start by peeling mine because it's relatively thick, so it can survive a good peel. And then I have this cool little peeler that is just gonna make little strips like that. But you can also do that by hand with just a knife, but this thing makes it great, and it was like $2 at the Asian market, so I would recommend it. However you cut it, you just wanna make sure they're nice and thin because we're not cooking them, they're still raw, so you don't want them to be too thick. Because if they're too thick, they're gonna be a pain to bite through. Then we can just move all these over to a separate bowl. And then our last little bit of veggie we're gonna chop up is just gonna be some green onions. Something nice to garnish. I'm gonna cut it at an angle, and we're just gonna thinly slice on a bias. And if you're having trouble with this, all you need to do is just look directly to the person in front of you. And don't break eye contact. Please don't do that because you might get hurt. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. I'm sorry. That was terrible advice. Don't listen to me. But if you do want to know how to cut vegetables, I got a video on that. And now for our beloved peanut sauce, starting with a half cup of creamy peanut butter. Peanut butter is delicious. 2 tablespoons of hoisin sauce, 4 tablespoons of shoyu, 4 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of mirin, and 4 tablespoons of sweet chili sauce. Now we can just very slowly and carefully mix this all together. And then once all that peanut butter is incorporated, we can go ahead and thin it out to our desired consistency with a little bit of water. I'd recommend doing about a tablespoon at a time until you find exactly how thin or thick you like it, because if you add too much, it's kind of a pain to thicken it back up. But if you don't add enough, you can always just add more. But also keep in mind that we're not going to be dipping into this, we're gonna be drizzling it on top. So probably want it to be a little bit thinner than you're used to with like a traditional dipping peanut sauce. And once you have it how you like it, we can go ahead and taste for salt and sugar. Oh, that's really good. It's good. And of course, if you want to be fancy about it, you can pour it into a squeeze bottle. But you can also just like drizzle it on with a spoon. So don't feel like you have to buy a squeeze bottle. But feel free to keep those empty ketchup bottles or whatever condiments that you like, because those are still very functional squeeze bottles. And they don't cost you any extra money. Beautiful. And now we can move on to cooking our chicken, which I'm sure you can tell we're gonna be using our air fryer for. But don't worry, you don't have to use an air fryer. You can cook it however you like. If you wanna cook it on the stove, on the grill, in the oven, whatever is easiest for you. And if you need those instructions, I'll leave them all down below. And now we'll go ahead and place our chicken inside of our air fryer basket. First, making sure to get a good amount of marinade on all sides of our chicken. And then we'll just lay them down one at a time, making sure we're not overcrowding. It should look like this. Then we'll load it up, turn this bad boy on, 400 degrees. We're gonna set it for 20 minutes, but it's not necessarily going to cook for 20 minutes. We're gonna let it cook for about 8 to 10 minutes, and then we're gonna check it out. We'll flip it and let it cook for most likely another 6 to 8 minutes, but we'll get there. Treating myself today. Zero sugar though, so I don't feel bad. All right, now mine have gone for about 9, I should probably stop that, 9.5 minutes, and they've got a really nice char. So we're just gonna go ahead and flip them over. I'm gonna pour on a little bit of that leftover marinade over top, just to maximize our flavor, and then we'll send those back in for another 6 to 8 minutes. But also it doesn't hurt to check it, because my air fryer might be different than yours, and my thigh thickness might be thicker than yours too. Cool. All right, we've been going for about another 6 minutes here. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that out, and it looks pretty darn good to me. But of course, let's temp check it first. Beautiful, 170 around. Now we can just carefully move these over to our board and let those rest. So we're ready to cut them up. Now we can fill a large pot with some water, bring this to a boil, and also get a nice little ice bath ready. And at this point, we're at the final stretch with only a few things left to cook. The first of which is our bean sprouts, which are only gonna take about a minute to cook. So nothing to stress about there. About a generous handful goes in, or if you like more bean sprouts, then feel free to do more. We'll just spread those out a little bit, and we wait a minute. That's it, plain and simple. And then after about a minute, we can go ahead and remove those from our boiling water, and strain them off, not strain them off, and then move them over to our ice bath. And now for our second protein, shrimp, which we're gonna start by adding a little bit of salt to our boiling water. Nothing too crazy, but we do wanna make sure that our shrimp are nice and salted. And then I have a pound of peeled and deveined shrimp, but I do need to remove those tails. Now, if you also have to remove your tails, there's a super easy trick to do it, and it really only takes one hand. All you have to do is just pinch right at the tail, squeeze, and it'll pop right out. Just like that. But then once your shrimp are all fully deveined and detailed, we're gonna move them over into our boiling water to let them cook for roughly 45 seconds to a minute, sometimes a little bit shorter if you have really small shrimp, but about 45 seconds is a solid middle ground. And then once they are fully cooked, we can go ahead and carefully remove them from our boiling water and transfer them into our ice water. And now while those cool down, we're gonna go ahead and dump this water and refill it so that way we have fresh water to boil our noodles. This is the process. This is a great opportunity to tell me now how you're doing in case you didn't do it before. I am genuinely interested in your well-being, so please let me know. It's also a great time to like, comment, subscribe, and share with a friend if you enjoy the video. If you don't, then don't do any of that. But if you're enjoying it, then you should do those things. And now once the fresh water is back up to a boil, we can go ahead and cook our noodles. Now I'm using a medium-sized vermicelli noodle, but feel free to use whatever size you want. But I will recommend that you get the ones that come in these little predetermined packaged size dealios. Servings, that's the word I should have said. These pre-portioned servings. What is wrong? Because it just makes life easier. But in general, I'm gonna be dropping in about 250 to 300 grams of dried noodles, split that amongst the, the 5 different meals portioned out. That's the plan. But I am gonna do those in 2 separate batches, just so they, actually cook. And now once our noodles are fully cooked according to your package directions, or in this case, mine, we're gonna go ahead and carefully remove them. And then this next part is very important. We're gonna rinse these under cool water, because look at how starchy that still is. And then we'll just repeat that with the rest of our noodles. And now to assemble these bad boys, we'll start with a base of lettuce, followed by our noodles, our wide variety of veggies, followed by our barbecue chicken, shrimp, a nice drizzle of our peanut dressing, and some green onions. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I really hope that you learned something. Here's a photo of exactly what you think it is, and we will see you next week.